What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with your host, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. And for those of you that are new to the show, or those of you that are new to me or haven't really listened to me that much, I am a big pro athlete dude. Like, I support the athletes, usually pretty lock, stock, and barrel. I would say there's very few times I go against the athletes. And I often say organizations fail athletes far more than athletes fail organizations. And what that phrase essentially means is organizations don't withhold or don't hold their end of the bargain in ensuring that athletes reach their maximum potential. You have a lot of guys that are taken early in the NBA draft, early in the NFL draft, and they flounder, and we label them busts, but we never hold the organization, the player development, the head coach, the general manager, the scouts, whatever, as accountable. And never has this been more obvious. Never has this phrase, this mindset been more apparent than what is going on in Sacramento right now. If you've never been to Sacramento, first of all, lucky you. God bless you. You're a lucky person. I've been to Sacramento a couple times. There's nothing to do in Sacramento other than die. I hate to go hard on the city, but it is what it is. Where's the lie? So if you have a professional team in Sacramento, you should be selling out because there's nothing else to do, other than maybe wash your paper plates or, chase the wind. There's not really much to do in Sacramento. So if you have an NBA team that is flourishing and playing well, that should be the hot ticket in town. But if on that team you have not one, but two, no, really one true bona fide star, you should do everything in your power to make sure everyone knows from here to Oregon, from here to Seattle. You should be moving units with this player's jersey. We should see him everywhere. His face should be plastered on billboards. It should be everything you can to promote a player. What the Sacramento Kings have been doing to De'Aaron Fox, and to Domantas Sabonis slightly, but to De'Aaron Fox, and his lack of promotion and their inability to get him in households other than your occasional social media blast on Facebook or the Instagram or the tickety thing, it's been an abomination. It's been disappointing to some, to say the least, but at most, it's been an abomination. There is no justifiable reason that a player that is in the top 10 in scoring and 27 points a game, and in the top 6 in fourth quarter points at 8 points a game, I think it's at 7.5. Let me check my notes. I think it's about 7. He's roughly 7.6, so 8 points a game. For a team that is above 500, for a team that offers absolutely nothing else in the city, there is no reason why this player should not be starting on the NBA All-Stars. There's no reason why we should not be inundated. He should have more commercials than Baker Mayfield. Now, who's to blame for this? De'Aaron Fox has held his end up of the bargain as far as playing well on the court. He doesn't play with any finishers, yet he still manages to be the reigning clutch player in the league. Keegan Murray is coming along, but he's not where he'll be in, let's say, 2 or 3 years. And Sabonis, while he does give you a double-double, one of the better playmaking bigs for all intents and purposes, kind of is an albatross to what De'Aaron Fox's style of play is. De'Aaron has slowed his game down so Sabonis can catch up. Despite all of that, he still drops 27 per. He's still in the top 6 in fourth quarter points. He's done his end of the bargain. He's played through the coaching disasters. He's played through the Luke Waltons and the Dave Yeagers of the world. He's on it. I want to say his third coach, possibly his fourth. You lose track after a while, but he's with Mike Brown now. And this isn't about Mike Brown. This isn't about Monty McNair. This isn't about anybody in the basketball operations. This is specifically allocated to the marketing group that has failed De'Aaron Fox mightily. This is dedicated to the marketing group where Fox 6 is your home for Sacramento Kings basketball. There should be a full court press in getting this player's name out. And this is not coming from someone that lives miles upon miles upon miles away from this Golden One Center. This is coming from a dude that I believe, I did the math, it's about 61 miles from the Golden One Center. I'm actually closer to the Golden One Center than I am to the Chase Center. I'm closer to De'Aaron than I am to Steph Now, Steph has rings, Clay has rings, Steph has MVPs. So you kind of get why you're getting the commercials here, why you see the campaigning here. But when you see a player get 600,000, 600K votes, 0 media votes, 7th in fan voting, and he's a top 5 guard in the NBA, that's ridiculous. What are they doing in Indiana for Halliburton that you're not doing in Sacramento? What are they doing in OKC for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that you're not doing in Sacramento? Because you're not doing your job. And if Fox wasn't playing well, if Brown wasn't coaching well, they would be on their way out. But the ineptitude, the lack of success, the failures, the shortcomings that permeate through a perennial losing organization, changing the culture essentially is harder to do when you're talking about organizational pieces versus players. And you've got a transcendent talent in De'Aaron Fox. And somehow, some way, this dude has managed to not get the respect his play has earned. Not that he deserves, but that he's earned. And there's nothing more frustrating than when you see a commercial for a guy like Baker Mayfield, or when you see commercials for guys who haven't sniffed the type of on-court or on-field success that De'Aaron Fox has. And before we say this is De'Aaron's management team's fault, before we say, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, he's just a hater, whatever the case may be, where's the lie? Where's the team's participation in getting Fox out there? Why is he not on billboards going all the way into the Bay Area? Why are we not seeing commercials? And this is just, it's easy to do the social media blast. You put a couple dollars in there and now you show up on Facebook or whatever the case may be. It's harder to get out on the floor. It's harder to go out in the community. It's harder to put fan engagement out there to get fans out there to come out and support the team. It's harder to go from an organization that has failed mightily year in and year out, organization that's never won an NBA title. I get it, it's hard. Well, what's the phrase? Difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. There's no justifiable reason why Oklahoma City, which only has a Fridays or a TGIF, whatever you're calling it, or an Applebee's in their city, can manage to muster up 3.1 million votes for Shai. 96 media votes for Shai. 3rd in fan voting for Shai. And you can't get 1 media vote for De'Aaron Fox. There is media that covers this team. There are media members that come to these games, that watch these players, who have votes for all-star players. Your marketing team can't put something in their ear to make sure your guy gets in front of there? How many basketball guys have lost their job? How many basketball ops guys? How many applications? How many qualified candidates have been passed over? And I'm not trying to go hard, but when we call players to task, we call them by name. When we call coaches to task, we call them by name. We go through their resumes. So why is Kelsey and Ryan in your marketing department? And I don't want to hear it's not their job. Marketing is their job. Fan engagement is their job. Yeah, one person who's been a part of the organization for 4 years, and that 4 years you finished 27th, 20th, 24th, or 29th and 27th in attendance. But they're still employed. You have another guy who's been part of the organization for 9 years, and in his 9-year reign, you finished 27th, 20th, 29th, 27th, 27th, 21st, 18th this in the 2017-18 season, and you were 27 and 55. And you still managed to be top 20 in attendance. 16th the year before, 32 and 50. 19th the year before that, 33 and 49. So don't tell me it's because you don't win. And don't sell me that small media market crap, because I just watched Giannis get the most votes in the All-Star period. Most votes. And I've already mentioned Shai. So what are they doing in Cleveland for Donovan Mitchell that you can't do in Sacramento for De'Aaron Fox? Why do we have to watch another talented player do everything right? Everything you've asked for him. Bad draft picks in Davion Mitchell, and that's not a diss to Davion Mitchell, but you should have drafted a guy who could play with your best player. Rule number one in basketball. Watch the talent like Halliburton leave because, quite frankly, there wasn't a way to make it work. And watch that talent transcend, play well, and get voted into the All-Star game. Meanwhile, you're lighting a damn beam. Pause. You're lighting a damn beam. Think about that. That's what we're doing right now. De'Aaron Fox name should be on the lips of everybody that knows anything about basketball, anybody that enjoys basketball, and that probably should have been a pause too, but nevertheless, I digress. His name should be ringing bells from everybody to the high heavens. But instead, you're hoping for an injury to get your guy in. He's a Hall of Fame player stuck with a EuroLeague organization. I'm going to repeat that. He is a Hall of Fame first ballot player stuck with a EuroLeague organization, and it's infuriating. It is downright infuriating. And again, the occasional Facebook or Instagram post or the tickety-tock thing, that's light work. That's signing a check and sending it off. You know, as an organization, you've had people steal money from you before. Does this not look familiar? Does this not look a little bit close to somebody taking money and not doing their job? There's no reason why a kid this good. You know, I even go further than that. I mentioned the 13 combined years your marketing department has and your director and your assistant director. In that 13 years, you've had 3 All-Stars. I almost got you to 3 All-Stars. DeMarcus Cousins went 3 times. And remember the onslaught to get him out of there. And Sabonis and Fox last year. Now, I'm not the smartest man, but I can divide. That's 1 All-Star every 4 years. 3 and 3, a little more than 4 years. Yeah. So explain to me why Fox isn't making it. Explain to me what he hasn't done on the court to yield the lack of celebration off the court. Explain to me why there aren't Fox jerseys. And look, you can be the man in your own hood. He can be nice in Sacramento, Elk Grove, Citrus Heights, all those areas. But as I stated earlier, there is absolutely nothing going on from literally Livermore to Sacramento. That covers almost a 70-mile radius. There is no reason why he is not the face you see. There is no reason why all I'm seeing is cow poop and smelling manure when I drive down the 5, when you've got a Hall of Fame player, transcendent player, top 5 guard, MVP candidate sitting in your organization. And God forbid he comes in and says, you know what? I want to trade. God forbid he comes up and says, you guys haven't held up your end of the bargain, so I'm going to bounce. And again, when we call out players, we call out names. We call out agents, we call out names. We call out coaches, we call out names. So I'm calling out, I am talking to, and this is not to Mike Brown, this is not to McNair, this is not to anybody in the basketball operations. I am talking to Ryan and Kelsey. Do your Googles and find out who they are, because they are in your marketing department and they are failing one of the top players in the league. And I hope this falls on the doorstep of not them, but in De'Aaron Fox's camp. I hope this falls on the doorstep of not them, but to the Sacramento Kings decision makers, because losing is a bad habit. And what happens is people relish them bad habits. They thrive in them, because as long as you're losing, no one cares if you don't do your job. What's the point? We're losing anyway. But when you win, then comes expectations. When you win, then people need to step their game up. And you start seeing through the weeds who's been the albatrosses through the organization, who's literally been keeping you from thriving, who's been keeping this organization from going, who's been keeping this fox from running. And we see that now. And again, don't give me the small market crap, because the number 1 vote getter in the NBA is in Milwaukee. The starting guard in the Western Conference is in Oklahoma City, and he's not better than the guy in your house. He's not. He's not a better closer. He's not a better clutch player. He's not a better shooter. And the only reason why he's a better scorer is because he gets more free throws. There's only a 4-point difference between the two. And his team has managed to draft a little better. His team has managed to have a little bit more athleticism on it. But nevertheless, Fox has done everything necessary to help this team get to the next level. And what's holding him back? The organization. And it's frustrating to watch because I tune into the games, but I got to go hard to find a De'Aaron Fox t-shirt. And before you say, oh, well, you don't have to go that hard, they should be giving them out in gas stations. When I go into the grocery store, I see Brock Purdy jerseys. I see Steph Curry paraphernalia. I see Golden State. I can find a Jonathan Kuminga jersey before I can find a De'Aaron Fox jersey. And I live 60 miles away from Golden One Center, 82 from the Chase Center. Think about that for a minute. Think about that. I'm in your backyard, and you can't even reach me. And I love the game. You can tell by the makeshift studio and the fact that I still felt the need to share this. I started out the show by saying organizations fail players far more than players fail organizations. You lost DeMarcus Cousins. Little. Okay, I get that. You've had a lot of things go on in your organization that we don't need to relive. We don't need to rehash. We don't need to revive. You've got something special right now. Take care of it. Relish it. Do the things necessary for it to grow. Because what will happen is you'll watch that plant sprout. You'll watch that greatness thrive. You'll watch that Hall of Fame player win rings someplace else. And you'll still have the same old people doing the same old things, yielding the same old results. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. If you like the podcast, make sure you share the podcast, subscribe, comment, do whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. And again, before I let you go, because I know this is gonna get somewhere. When these people tell you, when they take shots at me, take shots at whatever, I don't have that's up to par, ask yourself this question. Where's the lie? The attendance records didn't lie. And the fact that you've got one of the best in your arena doesn't lie. He should have been an all-star. And you're the reason why he's not. Till next time, be easy.